We often live as if happiness is hiding in the big moments, the wedding day, the dream job, the perfect house. But at the end of life, people rarely talk about those milestones. What they remember most are the small, ordinary moments. The morning coffee shared with someone they loved, the sound of children laughing in another room, the smell of fresh bread. Yet so many of us miss these joys while we're chasing the big picture. Today, let's explore the truth about why we overlook small joys and how to live in a way that treasures them before they slip away. Lesson 1. Joy is in the ordinary. We live in a world that convinces us happiness must be earned, that it hides in big achievements, grand moments, and expensive milestones. But if you talk to people who have lived long lives, their memories tell a different story. I once knew of a man who had everything people dream about: a successful career, a large house, expensive cars, a calendar full of business trips and events. When he grew older, people asked him, "What do you look back on most fondly? What made you the happiest?" And he didn't talk about the awards, the money, or the house. He smiled softly and said, "Honestly, it was the Sunday breakfasts with my family, pancakes on the table, my wife laughing as the kids spilled syrup. That was happiness. Everything else feels small compared to those mornings." Imagine that. A lifetime of striving, and the sweetest memory was simply breakfast. Why simple rituals matter. It's easy to dismiss ordinary moments because they feel so routine. But routines are often where life's warmth hides. The rituals, morning coffee, evening walks, bedtime stories are the threads that weave the fabric of our lives. They don't make headlines, but they make meaning. In fact, when psychologists study happiness, they find that people who savor simple, repeated rituals tend to report greater long-term joy than those who chase excitement or novelty. Why? Because ordinary joys are consistent. They show up every day if we pay attention. Here's something powerful. Our memory has a way of filtering what truly mattered. Over time, the noise fades. The deadlines, the bills, the stress. What lingers are small sensory moments. The smell of bread baking, the sound of rain tapping against a window, the warmth of a child's hand in yours. These moments don't always feel like much when they happen, but years later, they are the ones that glow the brightest. Why we overlook them. So why do we miss them while they're happening? Because we're too busy searching for the big things. We think happiness must be extraordinary, something that sweeps us off our feet. But in chasing the extraordinary, we overlook the quiet beauty of the ordinary. It's like walking through a garden searching for the tallest tree, while ignoring the tiny flowers blooming all around us. A pause for you. Take a moment. Think back on your own happiest memories. Are they of the big promotions? The large purchases? The milestones? Or are they of laughter at the dinner table? Conversations that stretched late into the night? Or watching the sunset with someone you loved? Chances are, the moments that warm your heart are the simple ones. A practice, one ordinary joy a day. Here's something you can begin today. Each evening, write down one small joy you noticed. Just one. It might be the way sunlight hit your kitchen counter, or the smile of a stranger, or the taste of a meal that comforted you. At first, it may feel too small to bother, but over time, this habit rewires your mind to notice the ordinary joys you might otherwise dismiss. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize these little notes are not little at all. They are the very heartbeat of your life. So here is the first lesson. Joy is in the ordinary. Happiness doesn't always knock with fanfare. It often whispers in quiet, daily ways. And if we're not listening, we miss it. Treasure the breakfast, the walk, the laughter, the quiet moments, because in the end, those are the ones that will remain long after everything else fades. Lesson 2. The rush of modern life. We live in an age of speed, fast food, fast communication, fast travel. Everything around us tells us to go quicker, do more, fit as much as possible into every single day. But here's the paradox. The faster life moves, the more beauty we miss. In our rush to do everything, we forget to notice anything. I once heard a story of a grandmother who, in her later years, spent hours sitting on her porch, watching the birds, feeling the breeze. Someone asked her why she enjoyed it so much. She sighed and said, "When I was younger, I loved this porch, but I was always too busy to sit here. There were errands, chores, work, endless things to do. I thought I'd enjoy it more later. Now I realize later came too late." Her words are a mirror of how many of us live, rushing through the present, always thinking peace will arrive tomorrow. The cost of busyness. Busyness feels productive, but it often robs us of presence. We eat meals while checking emails. We walk while scrolling through our phones. We spend time with loved ones, but our minds are already on the next task, and at the end of the day, we collapse into bed, exhausted, but unable to remember even a single joy from the last 12 hours. This is the silent cost of the rush. Life slips past unnoticed. The illusion of efficiency. We believe doing things faster gives us more time, but often it only fills our days with more obligations. Technology was supposed to make life easier, but for many, it only made life busier. The emails keep coming. The notifications never stop. The to-do list never ends. Meanwhile, the quiet joys a conversation, a cup of tea, the sunset wait patiently, hoping we'll notice them. A reflection for you. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time I slowed down enough to truly notice something ordinary? The way sunlight comes through your window, the sound of birds at dawn, the smile of someone you love. If it feels hard to remember, you may be living in the rush. And that's not your fault, it's the current of the world we live in. But wisdom invites us to swim against that current. Practices to break the rush. 1. One slow meal a day. Eat without screens. Notice the taste, the smell, the company. 2. The 10-minute pause. Each day, stop everything for 10 minutes. Sit quietly. Breathe. Notice. 3. Sabbath moments. Choose one block of time, a week, an hour, an afternoon to step out of productivity and simply be. These practices may feel small, but they are like stones that slow down the rushing river of life, creating pools of stillness where joy can gather. The elder's warning. I once heard an elder say, "The biggest mistake I made was hurrying through life. I was always rushing to the next thing. And in my rush, I missed the life I was rushing toward." That is the danger of the rush. It tricks us into thinking we're heading toward happiness, while in reality, we're speeding past it. So here is the second lesson. The rush of modern life steals the small joys that truly matter. Life isn't a race. It's not about how much you can fit into a day. It's about how much of the day you actually lived, noticed, and felt. Slow down. Sit on the porch. Drink your coffee slowly. Listen fully when someone speaks. Because one day, you'll realize the quiet moments you rushed past were the very moments that made life beautiful. Lesson 3. We chase what's loud and miss what's quiet. Our attention is constantly pulled toward what's loud, urgent, and dramatic. Deadlines, notifications, crises. The noise of life always demands our focus. But the quiet joys, the small, subtle moments that truly nourish us, don't shout, they whisper. And in a world filled with noise, whispers are easily missed. I once heard of a father who worked tirelessly to provide for his family. He was dedicated, hardworking, and well-intentioned. But every evening, he came home late, exhausted, his mind still caught up in emails and meetings. His children would wait for him with books in hand, ready for bedtime stories. But more often than not, he would wave them off, saying, "Not tonight, I'm too busy." Years later, his children had grown, and the opportunity was gone. He confessed with tears, "I thought my work was urgent, but the bedtime stories were the moments that truly mattered, and I missed them." The loud things stole his attention. The quiet joys went unnoticed until it was too late. Why loud things win our attention? Loud things feel urgent. They come with alarms, reminders, pressures. They demand to be dealt with now. Quiet joys, on the other hand, are patient. They don't demand. The sunrise doesn't shout, it simply appears. A child's laughter doesn't insist, it bubbles up softly. Love doesn't force itself. It lives in small, quiet gestures. Because they don't push themselves onto us, we overlook them in the rush of noise. The hidden cost of ignoring quiet joys. The tragedy is that loud things are rarely the things we remember. Nobody looks back on life and says, "My happiest memory was replying to that urgent email." What we remember are the quiet things: a shared meal, a conversation, a hug, a song. But if we don't pay attention, those moments pass by unappreciated. A reflection for you. Think about your own life. What loud things have been stealing your attention recently? And what quiet joys have been pushed aside because of them? Have you noticed how often we treat loud problems as emergencies, while quiet joys are endlessly postponed? Practices for noticing the quiet. 1. Create rituals of silence. Have meals without TV or phones. Allow quiet to be present, so joy can be noticed. 2. Prioritize people over pressure. When faced with urgent work versus small family moments, ask, "Which will I remember 10 years from now?" 3. Schedule quiet joys. Paradoxically, sometimes we must schedule silence. Walks, conversations, so they're not stolen by noise. Imagine a garden filled with both large, loud trees and small, delicate flowers. If you only pay attention to the tallest, noisiest trees, you'll miss the beauty of the flowers blooming quietly at your feet. Life is that garden, and the flowers are the small joys that too often go unseen. So here is the third lesson. We chase what's loud, but true happiness lives in what's quiet. The world will always give you urgent noise, but your heart longs for whispers of love, laughter, peace, and presence. If you want to live without regret, don't let the loud things drown out the quiet joys. Because at the end, it won't be the noise you remember. It will be the whispers you chose to hear. Lesson 4. Memory's gentle surprise. Memory is a mysterious thing. It doesn't hold on to everything equally. Over time, it softens the noise, fades the stress, and leaves us with unexpected treasures. And here's the surprise. The memories that rise to the top are rarely the grand, dramatic moments. More often, it's the small, simple joys that shine brightest in our hearts. I once heard of an elderly woman who was asked about her favorite memory. People expected her to mention her wedding, a big trip, or a milestone in her career. But she smiled and said, "My favorite memory? Sitting by the fire knitting while my children played on the floor. Nothing special. Just the sound of their laughter, the warmth of the fire, the rhythm of the needles. That's what I carry with me." Imagine that. Decades of life, and what she cherished most was a quiet evening at home. Why small moments stick? Grand moments are rare. They're like fireworks, spectacular, but fleeting. Small joys, however, happen again and again. Their repetition plants them deep into our memory. And when we recall them later, they shine even brighter because they were woven into daily life. That's why the taste of your mother's cooking, the sound of your father's voice, or the way your grandmother smiled, may live forever in your heart, while bigger events fade. Think back to your own life. Do you remember the stress of every bill you paid? The urgency of every work deadline? The pressure of every argument? Chances are, Most of those have faded. What remains are softer things: laughter, smells, sights, gestures. Memory filters what mattered, and often it reveals too late that the smallest things mattered the most. A reflection for you. Take a moment now. Close your eyes and let a memory come to you, not a big one, but a simple one. Maybe it's a walk in the rain, a favorite meal, a song on the radio. Notice how warm it feels, even if it was ordinary. That warmth is proof. Joy doesn't need to be grand to last a lifetime. Practices to preserve small joys. 1. Take mental snapshots. When something feels good, pause, breathe, and take a mental picture. 2. Journal the ordinary. Don't just write about milestones. Write about meals, conversations, quiet days. 3. Tell stories often. Share those small memories with loved ones. Storytelling keeps them alive. The gentle surprise of looking back. When people look back, they're often surprised. They thought they'd remember the big promotions, the big purchases, the achievements. Instead, they remember the smell of their childhood home, the sound of their partner's laugh, the way their dog greeted them at the door. That's memory's gift, reminding us that the things we thought were small were actually the big things all along. So here is the 4th lesson. Memory surprises us by keeping the small joys alive. Don't dismiss them while they're happening. Don't overlook the laughter, the meals, the gestures, because one day, when the noise has faded, those small joys will be the treasures that remain. And the gentle surprise of memory is this: what you thought was ordinary was, in truth, extraordinary. Lesson 5. The illusion of someday. One of the most common phrases we tell ourselves is, someday I'll take that trip. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll spend more time with family. Someday I'll slow down and enjoy life. But here's the painful truth. Someday often never comes. There was a man who dreamed of traveling the world with his wife. They made plans for decades, but always said, "We'll do it when we retire. We'll do it someday." But before that day came, his wife passed away. In his grief, he said something heartbreaking. "I kept waiting for someday. I didn't realize I had all the days I needed until they were gone." This is the danger of someday. It tricks us into believing life will always wait for us. But time does not pause. Why we postpone joy? We postpone because we think the future will be easier. We'll have more money, more energy, more freedom, more time. But life rarely delivers the perfect moment. There will always be bills, responsibilities, and challenges. Waiting for someday means we sacrifice today's joys to an imagined tomorrow. The small joys we delay. It's not just the big dreams we put off, it's the small ones too. Saying, "I love you," calling a friend, sitting down to rest, taking a walk. We treat them as optional, something we can always do later. But later has a way of disappearing. A reflection for you. Think about your own life. What are you postponing until someday? Is it a trip? A conversation? A hobby you've always wanted to try? Time with loved ones? Ask yourself honestly, what would it cost me to begin now, even in a small way? Because often, joy doesn't require a perfect moment. It requires a choice. Practices to break the illusion of someday. 1. Do one dream small. If you can't travel the world yet, plan a day trip. If you can't write the whole book, write one page. 2. Don't postpone words. If love or gratitude is in your heart, say it today. 3. Schedule joy like work. Put family dinners, calls with friends, or hobbies on your calendar. Treat them as essential, not optional. An elderly woman once said, "The saddest words are not 'I failed.' The saddest words are, 'I didn't try.'" Failure hurts for a moment, Regret lasts a lifetime, and most regret is born from waiting for a perfect someday that never came. So here is the fifth lesson. The illusion of someday steals today's joys. Life isn't waiting for you to be ready. The clock is already ticking. Don't wait for the perfect day to live. Live now. Don't wait for someday to love. Love now. Don't wait for later to find joy. Find it here, today. Because in the end, you'll realize that someday was never promised, but today is always here, waiting to be lived. Lesson 6. The spiritual side of small joys. In nearly every spiritual tradition, happiness is not found in wealth, status, or power. It is found in presence, in gratitude, and in the small sacred moments of daily life. The world tells us joy is in the extraordinary. Wisdom teaches us joy is in the ordinary if we approach it with reverence. In a monastery, a young student once asked his teacher, "Master, what is happiness?" The master smiled, poured tea into a simple clay cup, and replied, "This is happiness, to sit, to breathe, to drink, and to be fully here, nothing more." The student was confused. Surely happiness was something bigger, something more profound. But with time, he understood. When we bring full awareness to small moments, drinking tea, walking slowly, watching the sunrise, they become spiritual experiences. When you notice the warmth of sunlight on your face, or the sound of wind through trees, or the laughter of a child, you touch something timeless. These moments remind us that life itself is a gift. You didn't earn the sunrise. You didn't create the rain. You didn't design the breath in your lungs. Yet they're here, freely given. Small joys awaken gratitude, and gratitude is the doorway to the sacred. A woman once shared that after losing her health, she found herself noticing things she once ignored. The taste of bread, the smell of rain, the sound of birds outside her window. She said, "I used to rush through these things, treating them as background. Now they feel holy. I wish I had noticed sooner." Her story is a reminder. Small joys don't just make us happy, they bring us closer to awe. Think about this. When was the last time you paused fully to notice something simple? Not while multitasking, not as background, but as the entire moment. That pause, that awareness, that's where joy lives. Practices to experience the sacred in small joys. 1. Mindful breathing. Take 5 breaths each morning, noticing the miracle of air filling your lungs. 2. Sacred meal. Once a day, eat slowly, appreciating the colors, smells, and textures. 3. Walking meditation. Take a short walk, noticing each step, each sound, each sight. 4. Gratitude. Pause. Whisper. Thank you for small things, the light, the warmth, the voices around you. There's an old story of a man searching for God. He traveled the world, prayed in great temples, studied with wise teachers, but in the end, he discovered God in the simplest thing, the light of a candle in the dark. Sometimes, the divine hides in plain sight. Small joys are the candles of life, reminding us that every moment can be holy. So here is the 6th lesson. Small joys are spiritual gateways. They don't just make life pleasant, they connect us to something greater. When you notice the warmth of tea, the sound of rain, the smile of a loved one, you are touching the sacred fabric of existence. Don't rush past these moments. Honor them. Let them teach you reverence, because happiness isn't only about pleasure. At its deepest, it's about presence, the spiritual awareness that every small joy is a gift. Lesson 7. Why small joys heal the heart. Our hearts carry many wounds, grief, disappointment, loss, loneliness. These pains can feel overwhelming, too heavy to bear. But often, it is not grand solutions or dramatic changes that begin the healing. It is the small joys, the quiet comforts, that remind us life is still good, still worth living, even in sorrow. I once heard of a widow who was asked what she missed most about her late husband. People expected her to say their travels, their milestones, their holidays together. Instead, she whispered through tears, "I miss the way he reached for my hand when we were driving. I miss the way he made coffee for me in the morning." It wasn't the big moments she longed for. It was the tiny gestures of love, the ordinary rhythms that made her feel safe and cherished. Those small joys had healed her daily while he was alive, and their memory continued to heal her heart after he was gone. When life feels heavy, big solutions feel impossible. You can't erase loss. You can't undo hardship. But small joys, a smile from a stranger, a warm meal, sunlight breaking through clouds, offer gentle reminders that beauty still exists. They don't take away the pain, but they soften it. They whisper, "Even now, life holds goodness." He's not. Psychologists call this micro moments of positivity. Even tiny sparks of joy, laughter, gratitude, connection release chemicals in the brain that reduce stress and soothe the body. This is why listening to a favorite song, smelling fresh flowers, or laughing at a joke can shift your entire mood, even in grief. Small joys are medicine for the heart. Think of a time when you were hurting deeply. Do you remember how, even in that darkness, a small moment, maybe a hug, a kind word, or a simple meal gave you strength to keep going? That moment was more than comfort. It was healing. Practices to let small joys heal you. 1. Notice the gestures. Pay attention to small acts of kindness, a door held open, a smile, a message from a friend. 2. Create gentle rituals. Light a candle each night, sip tea slowly, listen to calming music. 3. Anchor to nature. Watch the sky, touch the earth, listen to birds. Nature is full of quiet healers. 4. Allow yourself joy in grief. Don't feel guilty for smiling or laughing while hurting. Small joys are what carry you through. There's an old story of a water carrier who had 2 pots. One was perfect, the other had a crack. Every day, the cracked pot leaked water along the path. The pot felt ashamed. But one day, the carrier said, "Don't you see? The flowers growing along the path are because of you. Your brokenness created beauty." Small joys are like those flowers, they bloom even along broken paths, reminding us that healing is possible. So here is the 7th lesson. Small joys have the power to heal the heart, not because they erase pain, but because they remind us that even in sorrow, beauty still exists. When you're hurting, don't search only for big solutions. Look for the little things, the hand you can hold, the laughter you can share, the sunlight that warms your face, because sometimes the smallest joys carry the greatest medicine. Lesson 8. Joy as a daily practice. Most of us think of joy as something that happens to us, a lucky accident, a moment that appears when life is kind. But the truth is, joy can be cultivated. Like a garden, it grows when we tend to it daily, intentionally, patiently. I once heard of an elderly man who carried a small notebook everywhere he went. Each day, he wrote down one thing that brought him joy. Some days it was simple, sunlight on my porch. Other days, profound, my granddaughter's laughter. On hard days, he admitted, it was tough to find anything at all, but he always wrote something, even if it was just, "I'm still breathing." When asked why he did this, he said, "Because joy grows when you collect it." This notebook is proof that even in hard seasons, life offers me beauty. His practice didn't just make him happier, it made him resilient. Think of joy like a muscle. If you never exercise it, it weakens. But if you practice daily, noticing, recording, savoring, it grows strong. When challenges come, that muscle helps you carry the weight. Without practice, joy slips by unnoticed. With practice, you begin to see it everywhere. Many people believe joy is spontaneous, that it arrives only when something special happens. But waiting for joy is like waiting for flowers to appear in a field you never planted. Practice is the planting. Attention is the watering. Gratitude is the sunlight. If you want joy to bloom, you must make it a habit. Ask yourself, do I treat joy as an accident or as a practice? Think of your last week. How many small joys did you actively notice, savor, or record? If the answer feels small, don't judge yourself. Instead, see it as an invitation. You can start practicing today. Practices for daily joy. 1. Joy journal. Write down one joy each evening. Even the smallest counts. 2. Joy pause. Before eating, working, or resting, pause for 10 seconds and ask, what can I enjoy here? 3. Joy in routine. Choose a daily task, brushing teeth, walking, washing dishes, and turn it into a mindfulness practice. Notice the sensations, sounds, and feelings. 4. Joy in sharing. Tell someone what brought you joy today. Sharing multiplies it. There was once a musician who played a violin on the street corner every morning. People asked why he played so early, with no audience. He smiled and said, I play for joy, not for applause. If I wait for the right crowd, I may never play at all. His daily practice of joy was not about conditions, but about consistency. So, here is the 8th lesson. Joy is not just something we feel, it is something we practice. Every day offers opportunities for small joys, but you must choose to notice them, record them, and savor them. Don't wait for joy to find you. Plant it, water it, practice it, because in the end, a joyful life is not built on grand events, but on the daily habit of finding light in the ordinary. Lesson 9. Gratitude turns small into great. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces in life. It doesn't change what we have, it changes how we see it. Through gratitude, small joys are transformed into treasures. Ordinary days become blessings. Little things become big things. I once heard of a mother who lived in a small house with a leaky roof. One night, a storm poured rain through the ceiling. She sat worried and ashamed, thinking only of the problems. Then she heard her young daughter giggling as the drops splashed into a bucket. The child clapped her hands and said, "It's like music, Mama!" In that moment, the mother's heart shifted. The storm was still there, the leaks still real. But gratitude for her child's laughter made the night brighter. What changed? Not the circumstance, but the perspective. Gratitude turned a problem into a memory of joy. Gratitude doesn't add more to life, it multiplies what's already there. When you say thank you for a meal, it tastes richer. When you notice the kindness of a friend, the friendship feels deeper. When you appreciate a sunrise, the colors grow more vivid. Gratitude is like light, it illuminates what was already present but unnoticed. Many of the things we take for granted today are the very things we once prayed for. The job we dreamed of becomes just work. The child we longed for becomes noisy and tiring. The home we saved for becomes a list of chores. Gratitude awakens us to the miracle hidden in what feels ordinary. Think of one thing in your life right now that feels small or ordinary. A meal, a warm bed, a text from a friend. Now imagine losing it. Imagine your life without it. Do you feel the shift? That is gratitude, the recognition of value in what was always there. Practices to grow gratitude. 1. Gratitude journal. Write 3 things each night you're thankful for, especially the small ones. 2. Gratitude walk. Take a walk and name aloud things you appreciate. Trees, air, neighbors, sky. 3. Thank people directly. Tell loved ones, I appreciate you for. It deepens both your joy and theirs. 4. Flip the script. When something bothers you, find one thing to be grateful for in it. There was once an old man who prayed before every meal. Not fancy meals, just bread and water. One day, someone asked, "Why thank God for such a small meal?" He smiled and said, "Because with gratitude, even this bread tastes like a feast." Gratitude doesn't make the bread bigger, it makes the heart fuller. So here is the 9th lesson. Gratitude turns the small into the great. Without gratitude, life feels lacking, no matter how much we have. With gratitude, life feels abundant, even in simplicity. Don't wait for grand blessings to feel thankful. Start with what you already hold: the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the people around you. Because gratitude is not just saying thank you, it is the art of seeing small joys as great treasures. Lesson 10. The final reflection. When people reach the end of life, they often say the same thing. It wasn't the big things that mattered most. It was the small ones. The truth is, the little joys are not little at all. They are the heartbeat of life. They are the threads that weave our happiest memories. And yet, so many of us overlook them until it's too late. I once heard an elderly man reflecting on his life. He said, "I chased success. I worried about money. I stressed over things I thought were important. But now, when I look back, what I cherish most is the smell of my wife's cooking, the laughter of my children in the yard, the way the dog ran to greet me at the door. Those were the moments. Those were life." His words echo what countless elders say, that the small joys, the coffee, the hugs, the conversations end up being the treasures of our memory. We miss them because we're distracted, rushing, chasing, or waiting for someday. We think happiness is hiding in milestones, not in minutes. But memory teaches us otherwise. It gently surprises us, reminding us that what seemed ordinary was extraordinary all along. Take a breath and ask yourself, what small joy did I experience today? Did I notice it, or did it slip past me unnoticed? If I were at the end of my life, what ordinary moments might I long for most? The answers to those questions are not just reflections. They are invitations. Invitations to live more fully now. The secret to a joyful life is not to add more, but to notice more. To live with eyes wide open, heart wide awake, and spirit ready to savor even the smallest gifts. Imagine the power of a life where you notice the way sunlight falls on the floor, the warmth of someone's smile, the taste of bread, the sound of laughter. Imagine if you treated each of those as treasures, not background noise. That is not fantasy. That is wisdom, and it is available to you today. Practices to end with. 1. Daily gratitude. Write one small joy each evening. 2. Mindful presence. Choose one daily activity, tea, walking, eating, and give it your full attention. 3. Say it now. Don't wait to tell someone you love them. Words spoken today become memories tomorrow. 4. Slow down. Choose moments to pause, to breathe, to savor. There's a story of a nurse who asked a dying patient what made him smile most in life. He thought for a long time, then whispered, "The mornings when my little boy climbed into bed with me. That's what I'd give anything to relive. Not money, not awards, not possessions. A small joy." So here is the final lesson. The small joys are the big joys. Don't miss them. Don't wait for milestones to feel grateful. Don't postpone love until tomorrow. Don't let busyness steal today. Because when all is said and done, it won't be the noise you remember. It won't be the milestones. It will be the mornings, the laughter, the touch of a hand, the warmth of being alive. This is aging with wisdom. Thank you for spending this time with me. May you live today with open eyes, open heart, and open hands, ready to catch the small joys that truly matter.